Good to see you, man.
You too.
Appreciate you coming over. Hey, so what is the deal? Do you live here now?
I have a place here.
Not in my house. Do you live? But because I always thought of you as one of the guys who was never here. Then you would like show up. Are you here more?
My home base is in Georgia.
Still,
that's home base. But I do have a place here, and my studio's here as well.
Studio, as in your recording studio.
Yes, sir. Yeah. It's Southern Ground, Nashville. It's over.
And that moved too, right? Because you sold the old one.
Nope.
Really?
Still have the same one.
You should. You get a pretty penny. Trust me, I know a little bit about real estate.
Yeah. We looked into it during COVID because it was kind of wild. It smashed.
Did you list it?
Everything. I did. I listed it. I had it under contract for a year and a half, and the guys were just holding it, and then interest rates and everything went up, and then they kind of started getting fishy, and I was like, I'm not holding this another day without some hard earnest money. So
it was under contract for over a year?
Yeah. And then they put down hard earnest money, and then they ended up backing out again. So I just
Did you keep the money?
Oh, hell yeah.
We're still in the process of selling our other house that was right down the road from here, and we put it up, and we bought it right when COVID started. We bought it when everything went way down. So we got very fortunate.
Yeah.
And since then, things have gone way up, and we're going to do pretty good on it whenever we finally sell it. And some guy was like, I want it. And he said, I'll take it. I put it on a contract. And like 2 weeks went by, and he's like, hey, man. Not hey, man. He didn't like reach out like a buddy, but he was like, hey, I just got divorced, and I bought this house because I just got divorced. And my ex-wife did not want me to get this house the last time it was up for sale, so I bought it to spite her. And I'd like to get out of the contract because I shouldn't have made that decision. So I let him. We haven't sold it since, which was kind of, but I could have held him account. You know, I could have been but yeah, real estate's, I don't know much about money. I didn't grow up with money, but it's like the only thing I've ever done where it's like you win almost every time.
Especially around here.
But is it like that everywhere though? I mean, I know, because everyone's always like, it's around here, but I only know around here.
Yeah, it depends on what it is, man. You know, in a growing area like this, it is in my experience, you know, I bought my studio in the building next door to it in like 2010.
Golly.
And there were no high-rise buildings except the Orbison building was the biggest building around anywhere close to us. So it was like little houses still. And I wish I'd bought everything anywhere around there at that time, knowing hindsight. But so we did good on that. We put a lot into it. We turned the whole thing into guitar woods, floors, walls, you know, everything, ceiling. But it's such a cool historic place. You know, it was Monument Records back in the 60s. It was like Fred Foster's place, and then Al Jolson owned it after that. And so when we got the studio, it was completely stacked full. The tape vault was completely full of old tapes that people recorded there. There was like the
tapes were left
there was
in there?
Christofferson tapes there. There was all the financial records of everyone that ever recorded there from the 60s until now.
What do you do with those?
I've got a little area set up that's just like all the history. So we set it up and organized it all, and there's like unreleased Shel Silverstein records. There's a file for everyone that recorded there, and everyone recorded there. The B3 that's in there, the Allman Brothers came, and the story is the brothers came and recorded there, and then couldn't pay their full studio bill, so Greg left his Hammond there. So the B3 was Greg's. There's the piano was one of Liberace's pianos. It was from 1920 Baldwin, huge grand piano. Nothing sounds like that thing. And Al Jolson owned that, and it came along with the sale of the studio. So I got all this old treasure that was in the place and all the history behind it all.
So you knew that a lot of that older historic stuff was in there when you bought it. It wasn't like you stumbled on a small door and you crawled through the door and you're like, ah.
No, the whole studio was completely full. It was full of old mic stands. Like my mic stand has J.J. Cale's name sprayed on the bottom of it. It's like, wow. And supposedly there's an Elvis necklace somewhere that someone left in the wall, like one of his people on his thing. Like he gave out gold TCB,
take care of it.
necklaces.
Yeah.
And supposedly one of the guys that was working on it back in the 60s or whatever left his necklace up and it got closed in a wall somewhere in the building. There's all kinds of crazy stories, but steeped in history. It was a church that built in 1901. And before that, the ground it was on was like a Civil War battlefield, like resting ground. Like they had the overflow from hospitals. So it's pretty haunted, as well as a lot of my staff will tell you that stayed in there late at night often and found really weird things in there. So it's a cool place, man. It's like dripping with weird, cool stuff. And I'm not one of those super ghost people like that. I just try not to be open to that kind of stuff. I'd rather just, if it's around, I'd rather just not pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But friends of mine that have come in there and like gotten sick to their stomach. They're like, oh God, there's so many spirits in here and whatever. And I'm just like, cool, sweet.
I got 2 places I want to go. One, I bring up the property and the real estate thing because I feel like you're a guy who's gotten into a lot of different things and is actually, and I don't know if you're like me and you just want to do a little bit of everything and learn about everything, or if, because you with the food, with the music, I feel like there's 5 or 6 places that the leather, with all that you've done, what part of you is the person that chases that? Like mine is like, I get obsessed with things, like addict. I come from an addiction family,
right?
Big time. Right now, my thing is like sports memorabilia and cards.
Yeah.
Can't get. That's all I want to do.
A bunch of helmets and gear.
Dude, I'm just.
I collect cards too.
Yeah. Oh, have you ever seen these? I just accidentally brought this down, and I never had bought these before. They're called. Apparently, they're pop century. They're like not athletes, but like celebrity, like famous people who sign cards.
I haven't seen those yet.
I will break this in a minute.
Right
what
on.
part of you though interests you in all these different things?
I'm the same way. Like I'll chase a rabbit hole. Something that's interesting to me, I will latch onto it and research and learn as much as I can about it. And I think the part about being an artist is not just, music is one of the mediums that you can use. But, I've been making knives since I was 18 years old. So creating something, and whether it's space or whatever, like I love to come into a space if it's somewhere where I'm going to be and transform that space into a vibe that I'm really going to like getting the lighting correct the right way, getting the right things. And then all my traveling, I come upon things. I seek things too. Like if I go to do a tour in the UK, I'm going to hit up all the old weird antique stores that have like 500-600-year-old stuff in them and kind of pick through those things and find things to bring back. So I'm kind of a people collector as far as on the business side of things, and I'm kind of a collector of art and weird things as well. So
where does that come from? What was home like growing up? Did anybody do that? Like, did anybody collect or draw? Or?
My uncle, on my mom's side, so my great uncle, my grandmother's brother, he was the same way. Like when I went to his house and saw his whole setup and everything too, I'm like, that's got to be somewhere from that side of the family. But I think for me, I'm a hyper curious person. So I'm always curious about things and I want to learn about things and I'm interested. So, when I was learning about leather goods and things like that, I would find people that made leather goods, give them the space and the tools, help them buy the tools. And, I had 165,000 square feet of manufacturing space in Georgia before COVID hit. And that was compartmentalized into 19 different businesses and spaces and stuff. And I had craftsmen in there and engineers and things and, CNC equipment, CNC metal, CNC leather, CNC wood shop, all in this place. So
what's CNC?
It's basically
what's a
computer controlled machines.
Got it.
Yeah.
I don't want to act like I was smart and new, so I'm going to ask.
So, mills, lathes, things that run themselves, you put it in a program. Like I could do a full body scan of you and then carve it out of wood, put a block of wood on this machine, and it had 2 5-axis routers, heads that would carve you like full on like nostrils and everything out of wood.
Can you imagine if I made out with that?
That'd
be weird. Yeah, that'd be
you
weird.
get a splinter.
My own. Yeah, I'm in my tongue. That'd be weird. What about the craftsman part? Who did that?
The people that I would find. I would find people that were already making amazing things and reach out to them and
But you'd be interested in that? As a kid, were you interested in that? Like cutting and building? And
I was very creative as a kid.
Were you artsy and weird? Or were you, because right now you're artsy, but you're not weird, and you've taken the weird away because you have tattoos and you're jacked.
Well, I think being a nerd of anything is kind of cool actually, but it doesn't actually get to be cool until you're a little bit older.
I agree.
And then then you find out when you put energy and effort into something and you really search it out and you really, because of my music, I was able to reach people. I was able to call people on the phone and maybe people would know who I was and I could speak to them and show them what we're doing later on. Yeah.
What is a kid? Were you a weird kid though? I was a weird kid. Or what was considered weird for Mountain Pine, Arkansas. I was weird because I wanted to perform and be funny. That it didn't happen where I came from.
Yeah, I was a choir kid, so I got in choir when I was in first grade. So I always loved to sing. My dad and my brother played guitar, so I wanted to play guitar. And so I was, from the time I was 7, I started taking guitar lessons, and a guitar was always home for me wherever I was. So I carried my guitar everywhere I went. Music was definitely my first love that I ever had. Singing along with shows, my brothers and telling me to shut up and stop singing, just be quiet and things like that. But my love for music was definitely my absolute first love. And I think as a kid, just being super creative, like I would make stuff in class out of, construction paper and pipe cleaners and stuff. I'd make like little weird grappling hooks and tear up the corner of the carpet and make a rope for it. And like, I don't know, I was always making things. So it's natural as my progression. And I always love to see anyone that's really amazing at doing something. Somebody that's like the leather worker that I have, Ramon, he's unbelievable. Sewed for Louis Vuitton for 20 years. When he crafts something out of leather, it's like, it's perfect, and finding people like that are so good at what they do and they have this level of passion that drives them to be that kind of excellent. I wanted to like provide a space for them to do what they do. Just like, what do you need? What tools do you need to do this on a bigger level so we can make things and sell them, pay for your salary, but also be able to make things, very bespoke things for people, or make things, like my plane, the whole interior of my plane, Ramon handmade every piece of the plane, all the chairs, the panels, ceiling, the bathroom, everything in it. So I've always been really attracted to people that are really amazing at something. And then what I'm good at is being a pragmatic person and going, okay, if I just give this person every tool that they need in the space and freedom to do it, what can they create?
Do you expect the same thing whenever it comes to you and your music? You want them to give you every resource to let you do your perfection? Yeah,
absolutely. And my band is extraordinary.
I mean, like a record label or a whomever, because they have to fund things. It's not, there's a reason you sign with a label. Do you expect them to give you the same liberty that you give your creatives?
For sure. And, I think if you're going to work with a label, they have to trust you as the artist. I don't have A&R coming in to tell me what kind of songs to write and what it needs to sound like and be like and stuff like that. Like, I create what I create. And if they like it, then they're going to, support it, and they'll listen through everything that we made and say, this might be the best one for this, and being able to kind of trust your team with that. But it's very important to me. I've been fanatically rebellious since I was a child, to where someone tries to tell me what I should be, how I should act, I didn't get a record deal for 10 years because people came in and were like, okay, we're going to get you a cowboy hat and some boots and we're going to put you up. And that was the end of the conversation for me, because I knew who I was, and I was brave enough to say, that's not who I am. And I remember one time we were selling out like 5,000-6,000 seats at places before we had a record deal. I mean, we played every night. I had to create a business model. So I would go to bars, sports bars that didn't have live music, and I'd say, I'm going to play here every Friday night. I'm going to come set up, and all I want is the door. Give me a tab, give me some food or whatever, give me a couple $100 in a tab for me. And
this in Georgia,
Florida, and Alabama. So my first 10 years of touring, I did that, and I played house gigs at the same place the same night of the week for 10 years. But after a little bit of time, on a Wednesday night at a Sidelines in Kennesaw, we'd have 300 people come in, pay a door charge, and I'd make, $1,200 at the door. And then they're stoked, because if I've owned restaurants too, so you lose your ass in a restaurant Monday through Thursday. Friday, Saturdays, you make up for the rest of the whole week. But making a night of business for somebody on a Wednesday that's like a Friday, Saturday is like a gold mine. But I would show up and play. We'd play 4 hours a night, and we'd set up. I mean, at first it was 6 hours a night we'd play. But we created a business model. And if I had been in Nashville here trying to go hunt a gig for $60 a night, hustling like that, there's a lot of people. There's so many incredible players and things around here, but it's so saturated. There's not a business. So we created a business model. So we would play those places every single week, and we'd bring in tons of people. And that's how I could test my songs that I was writing. I would know, I'd play it out. Like, I was playing Chicken Fried in bars for years before we put it on an album. But I knew after playing that in front of 300 people a night on a Wednesday in a sports bar that it would work. I could tell by the reaction of what the people were doing. So they were the litmus test of like what's working and what's not. So 6 nights a week for 10 years, bro, just grinding my ass off, sleeping against the window of a truck, hired a dude to drive me and pull my, covered trailer around with our shits on sticks in it and our PA system and doing that. So I didn't know how other people did it. I didn't know there were rules or how it works or anything like that. So it was always interesting to me when I come to Nashville and the way people write songs. And I was writing just, late at night up after shows at somebody's random living room, So I didn't know that people sit and write. Like, they'll take 4 sessions a day and come in to write and do things. So I never knew the way business should work or how it should work. All I knew was I'm just playing, and I was cutting my teeth, and it gave me the best, like, resilience, and it also gave me this incredible appreciation for every single person. Because sometimes the dude cleaning up the bar was the only person that was listening to me. And so my connection to people, this is not a derogatory thing, but like to common people, being out there with people. So I learned to love all kinds of people of all different abilities, because you never know how. And I can still go back in the kitchen in Dixie Tavern right now and see Fernando, the guy that was always cooking in the back of the kitchen, and give him a hug and hang out with him, because that was my family back then.
Yeah, I don't think it's a derogatory term if you're also one of them.
I am absolutely one of the people.
And I don't think anyone would take it as that. If you're like common people, but if it's like if I were to call somebody a hillbilly, that's okay. I come from freaking Mountain Pine, Arkansas, so I can do that. But if somebody that's not a hillbilly calls me a hillbilly, but you have this weird stew of perfectionist and creative. Those don't often go together. What's the tug on that, and who wins? Because again, the creative and the perfectionist, that doesn't mix well a lot of the times.
Man, I got a tattoo of Teddy Roosevelt on my left arm. I think the people who go do the deeds, who actually do the things and show up and aren't afraid to fail.
So like the arena is what you're talking about.
Man in the arena, yeah. So I come back to that every time I hear some failed New York, some author or writer in New York that writes something derogatory about my album when he had a failed band, and just the only way he found a job was to write and, critique other people's music. I go back to that speech, to the man in the arena, to Teddy. But I wasn't afraid to fail, and that's the thing. I think perseverance is the most extraordinary thing that we can possibly have, because if you're willing to put in the work and grind and hustle, and in an artist, talent comes pretty cheap. You can find talented people all day long, but the people that have the grit to persevere and fucking get out and grind and like get on the horse and hear 1,000 people tell them that you can't do this, and don't give a shit and just do it anyway and just fucking keep going. Because you don't start great. You start where you are and you work on it. And the more hours you do it, the more great you become. And the more hours, so I think that resilience for me and getting to, I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I wasn't going to stop.
But when you're creating, it could be then or now, versus when you want it to be exactly right, or you're not going to put. Where does that fall? At some point, you've got to have a point where I just got to put it out and stop spending all this time worrying if it's perfect, or the other way where it's like, man, I am not putting anything out until it's exactly right.
Yeah, I've sat on lyrics to songs like "Goodbye in Her Eyes" is an example. We have a song. It took 10 years to find the bridge for that song, because I knew it was great, but I wouldn't compromise and just put some lines in that rhyme. So if you like the people that you're writing with and you're creating with, which is a big thing for me now, I've just started writing with this guy in the last year that I just love. And every 2 or 3 hours, another great song pops out. And so when you can find the energy and synergy around that,
I just thought for 10 years though. Like you had it, but you didn't have the bridge.
I had it, but I knew that I didn't have it yet. It just wasn't there. But I hear songs on the radio all the time that I'm like, they're just making that shit rhyme. Like, if you care about every line of the song, if a song is your baby, it's like to me, songwriting is like the last like real American form of poetry. And trying to, and some songs are this poetic, like amazing thing that's like, based on family or relationships or whatever. Some of them you write to just be absurd and to have fun. So it depends on what you're going for. But if you're looking for that poetry and you're seeking it out and you're trying to find the best line, I mean, the genius in songs for me, like simple songs, like Willie Nelson was a genius songwriter because he could say something so simply, and any layman person could listen to it and go, that's great. But if you listen to how perfectly simple that it was, there's genius in how you do that, like boiling it down to something so simple. So for me, the chase of a song is like, I never love a song more than right when we finish writing it, because you kind of forget what you did. You listen back to it and you're like, oh yeah, there it is. But I have a really good radar with, if that line's not good enough, the song's not done yet.
I would have never finished a song then, because if it waited 10 years, there's nothing that could have been good enough to finish the song. So how did... I want to go back to that specific song.
Yeah.
It was just a feeling?
I heard it. It was actually a part of another song that a friend of mine had written. And I was like, I changed that a little bit, but I was like, that's the bridge. That's the one. And then they got credit for writing on the song as well. but you don't know what it is, but you know it's not right yet. So that's the thing. You don't compromise. The songs are your babies. And however long it takes to do that, sometimes you'll spit a song out in an hour, and sometimes it takes 10 years to finish one. But if you're proud of every single line and every single one, and hopefully the people that listen that really care about every line, like you're looking for that duality, like you're saying a lot of things in a very few simple words, like on a layer of it. But I think I was blessed also. My dad was a good businessman, and I think having a little bit of the left side brain about it, and also listening to everybody's horror stories of how they get taken advantage of in music business and things like that. Like I was very stubborn with negotiating those things, because you have to negotiate on what you're going to be and not what you are. Because I've never signed a publishing deal because I had tons of offers over the years. Somebody wants to come, give you $500,000. They'll loan it to you, and then they own half of everything you write after that point in time. And it's like, if I'm betting on myself, then I'm betting on one day I'm going to sell out stadiums and I'm going to have number one songs and I'm going to be doing this. So is taking, $100,000 advance for doing this right now a smart thing to do? So I think being long-sighted in how you negotiate with things, and it made it where it was hard for some people to work with me because I was very stubborn, but I live outside of the rules of what everybody else did because I didn't come from it.
Yeah,
I didn't know what they were.
Yeah, I felt
so I was really blessed in that way. I feel like I didn't know how it was supposed to work, so I just did what worked for me. And then I'm one of the only artists that I know that owns all of my masters. I own all the masters to all my recordings. And that doesn't normally happen.
Right.
Like even the Beatles, Michael Jackson owned the Beatles publishing, and then the Beatles owned Michael Jackson publishing, but they never owned their own. It was always tied up. It was always in all these details of contracts that people don't understand and don't know. And I would say a big contributing factor to this thing too is like anybody starting out in the music business, the first thing that you need to have is a great lawyer. I've had Reed Hunter since day one, since I had one, and he's been incredible because I'm asking him, okay, what does this mean? He'd have to dumb things down for me to help understand, okay, how does that work in 8 years from now? What does that mean? How does it go? And when I sign a new contract, what does that mean? And
I'm surprised you don't have a law firm with everything else you got. CNC law firm, ZBB law firm, Leather and Law.
But finding one that you can really trust and that has the influence and has the stuff. If he doesn't know the answer, he can find someone that does know the answer. And that's how you build your team. You find that person first, and then you kind of help, do that. But man, you got to be tough, man. You got to be tough, and you can't let people tell you what you are, because if you become what other people think that you should be, you don't know who the fuck you are.
I would agree with that. I also like songs that rhyme bar and car. You have any of those?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I try to stay away from
love the bar and car rhyme.
Some of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
We can do that too.
I love all the bar.
I'll write one with you on whatever you like.
No, here's the thing about my songwriting. You probably heard some of my hits like Hobby Lobby Bobby. It sweeps the nation. But I have this idea for a song, and it's about driving in the country, and it's the hardest sing-along ever is my idea. And so I do stand-up. I do music, whatever, mediumly. And the idea is I'm driving in the country, and I look over on the rocks that have been cut out for the road, and there's like a lot of drawings up there, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then everybody sings along, and it's called Plural Rural Murals. And it's the hardest sing-along ever because it's hard to say plural rural murals, especially a few times in a row.
That's true.
So that's where I am right now. I just really haven't found. I've been waiting 10 years to get somebody to write it with.
It's
well,
poetic.
no, I haven't even started writing it, just to get someone to write it with. I'm not even needing a bridge yet. That's how perfectionist I am with this song, Plural Rural Murals.
Okay. All right.
Tell me that is not
That's
a disaster.
I actually see a lot in those three words together. I can see a lot of possibilities, so that's a great start.
Thank you. And that's where I am. I'll probably wait another 10 before I get to the part.
For sure.
But I just got to find that.
Yeah, when you're 90, bro, you're going to have it.
I need a good lawyer and a good person to write it with. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
The thing about a lawyer, though, is a lot of people that are starting in this business, and I would even put myself into this business as being the artistic side where you make money, is we didn't grow up around lawyers. We don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I know now the value of it, but if I would have, I had a couple Backstreet Boy deals, which meant bad ones at first with agents and with whom, but I didn't know because I never even knew a lawyer. And so the importance of saying you need a lawyer and having people not go, he's not talking to me because I don't know much about lawyers. Like, it's almost like if you're going to do music and you're going to have an art that you monetize, you need somebody making sure somebody's not ripping it off, even at the lowest level.
Sure.
And when you say that, I'm like, man, I wish I would have listened to somebody tell me that. Because people probably did, but I was like, lawyer, that's fancy. What am I going to do? What am I going to do with a lawyer? But it would have saved me a lot of stress.
Oh, I think it comes along with recognizing your own strengths, right? Like I feel like I know my lane and I know what I'm good at. So everything, so if I'm a 9 or if I'm a 9 in some things, let's just say at a 10 scale, right? If I'm a 9 at some things and I'm 2s in other ones, if I'm doing it the right way, my team are all 9s and 10s at their area of what they do, of the things that I'm terrible at doing.
To even know to get a lawyer, though.
Yeah, well, that's because I heard about everything. And, I don't have a contract with my lawyer. We made an agreement early on, like, you're going to make this percentage of everything that I make or whatever. And he did that when I was making nothing. And he stood by me and helped me to do that, helped me build my team, helped me to put things together. Still my guy to this day. And that's the thing with me. Like, if somebody's made of the right character and fabric or whatever, I will work with that person forever. There's lots of things that change in and out of time, things that fit. It may not mean that they're bad people or make bad decisions, but it just doesn't work. But I've been really blessed to build my team of people where I've got people around me that are all 10s where I'm a 2. And then everything's covered, and then seeking counsel from people, having people like Jimmy Buffett who, rest in peace, people like him that I can call and go, hey man, what was this like for you? How do you think about this? There's only a handful of people that I could call and get quick answers from that independent.
That would make sense to you, for you. Because only a few people have ever done what you're doing at the level you're doing and have somewhat of an understanding of what you're going through.
How he built his brand, how he does his things, what he doesn't do, what he does, like what's the advice, I mean, even Springsteen. I remember the time I talked to him, I was like, tell me something that's the most important thing that you can tell me for my career. Like, is there something that you can think of? And his reply was, you need to sweat every day for an hour. I don't care what you do. Just go find a place, walk, run, work out, whatever it is, sweat for an hour a day. And after he told me that, I was like, all right, he's the boss. I'm going to do that. It can be little things like that people say that can change your trajectory. They can change like what you're doing. And, but being able to access people like that and being able to do it and somehow be on their radar was amazing. Because I started off, and I still am, I'm a giant music fan. I'm a music lover, like fanatic. I try to seek things out that move me, seek things out like the way people are writing and the way they sing it and the way they play it and put it with the melodies and the harmonies or whatever it is that makes it give you that visceral feeling where you can listen to something and you really feel what they're feeling. So I still seek that out to this day. So I started out as a music lover. So it's weird and amazing along my journey to get to share stages with my heroes.
Yeah, that's wild. I finally have people that I think are cool that think I'm kind of cool.
Exactly.
And it's not even that they have to be super famous. It's just somebody that I thought was cool. That's like, oh, I kind of think you're like, that's the greatest thing.
But I never lose sight of the kid that was just in love with music, because that's still who I am. So it's always when I'm sharing, like we just did the Jimmy Buffett tribute in LA, and
the Hollywood Bowl show.
Yeah. And with Paul McCartney and the Eagles and Jackson Brown, and it goes on and on. But
do you still have to go be cool to yourself? Like be cool, Paul McCartney, be cool.
Yeah, always. I mean, always. And I'm never. So my life is so polarizing. Like when I'm at home, I got 5 kids. Yeah. So when I'm at home, I'm the house bitch. Like I'm there to serve them. I'm there to drive them, take them to school, pick them up from school, take them around, do whatever. And I love that. I want to be there to see all that as much as I possibly can. And I have them half the time. So that's half of my life is in Georgia doing that. And I absolutely love that. And I never get used to when I go back out on the road and I stand at a stadium full of people and singing and going, holy shit, this is what I do. That part of grandeur of whatever that is, whatever doesn't live with me constantly. I'm not like, it's always humbling to me every time that we get to do it. And it keeps me humble because I know just who I am. I'm just a dude trying to create something, make something, and trying to make my family work and be connected to them, but also be connected to my music and my creativity. And, COVID happened and smashed everything. And it simplified my life in the greatest way.
Meaning in a way that you didn't think you would enjoy, but it ended up being a great learning experience. You learned from it, but you wouldn't have picked it?
I wouldn't have picked it because I didn't know what it meant.
If someone would have said, this is what you're going to do, and this is what's going to happen. And in the end, it's going to be good for you.
I had 250 employees when COVID hit.
Man, that sucks.
That's a lot of people. It's a lot of families that depend on me to be solid and me to do things and come through and all of that. And so looking in the face of that and the uncertainty of it, I had to close things down. I had to sell my huge warehouse and sell my equipment, sell some of my businesses to friends, which I still have a piece of, which is great because I don't have to babysit the people making it now. I can contribute ideas and design and things like that and help with marketing, but I don't have to do it. But it put me in a space, and this is something that, because of my curiosity and my energy level, I have a lot of energy. I learned just because you can do a lot of things doesn't mean you should. Like if you can figure out how to have an acceptable amount of things that you're good at doing and focus on those, you're going to be better. You're going to be able to serve all those things way better than being spread so thin across so many different avenues of things.
You have to learn. I had to learn that lesson the hard way. I had to learn that lesson by burning out a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Did you do that, or did you just realize, oh, I'm smart, I'm not going to burn myself out?
No, I would definitely burn myself out because then it's the little things that happen in life when you're having to like, oh shit, I've got to deal with all this shit now. And like my mental space goes down. And also thinking that, so here's another principle for people that are trying to have a business. It doesn't matter what you do or what it is or whatever. Your business is only as good as your systems. And if your system if your system has checks and balances in every possible area and doesn't allow people to take advantage, you will succeed. If there's any gap in your business where people can take advantage, they always will. And learning that the hard way was hard for me because I would
getting taken advantage of
the efficiencies of what's happening when I wasn't there to oversee what happens day to day. It was just a bleed. It was a bleed. But on paper, you go hire a placement agency, a headhunter, help me find a CEO that's the baddest motherfucker in the world. Like help me find somebody, and you pay the money to bring this person in, and you put them in that position, and you assume because of their resume and because of these things or whatever, they're going to oversee things, they're going to run toward problems, they're going to help you do this thing, right? But if I'm not there to engage with that company in that business, but that's why my touring runs like a top, because I have incredible people that do it. I'm there with them when we're doing it. They put out all the fires, so I don't have to be consumed with that. But in these other businesses that I had and I tried to start and go, it doesn't matter how well you hire for that. If the amount of attention that you spend there, it's like having a restaurant. If you want a successful restaurant, you need to live there, you know?
But do you ever I feel like the talk macro businesses, but has that happened to you personally that taught you this? Because the real lessons I've learned of things that happened to me personally.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I'm not asking.
And
for
I talked
an
to one of my greatest friends, Paul. I asked him. He's got a lot of people and a lot of stuff on his plate, you know. And when you have something that happens on a personal level where it's a betrayal, and you know you weren't really looking over their shoulder as much as you should have, and that's what I'm saying. The system in place when you have friends that work with you and family that works with you and things like that. When those people take advantage, it hits you on a whole nother level. And I remember the first time that happened to me where I was like, wow, this person is, you know, suing me 5 years after the fact for something just because I was successful after they were gone. They made poor decisions, got fired or whatever. And just because my time is so valuable now, my opportunity cost in fighting this is going to be more expensive than giving them some money for what they feel entitled to. I remember what that felt like that first time that like, and that's a lot to deal with. But I think over time, like, I mean, knock on wood, like I'm pretty resilient.
It's like fake metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good luck.
There's probably some on this couch. But I think your resiliency as time goes on, like you're not going to let people steal your joy. You know, you're going to, like my buddy Paul said, you know, you breathe in, breathe out, move on. And and that's what I told him. What do you do when someone that you really love betrays you and that you're left in this place with them, whatever? And he said, it's just the cost of doing business.
Can you forgive? Not in that situation, but generally, are you good at forgiving?
I would say as far as being a human and being a friend.
Human. Personally?
Yes, I would say yes. As far as your business and things like that. When someone shows you what they are and who they are, and, you know, I keep my charity with my charity. And then, so in my business, there's no place for that. But as far as friends and things like that, yeah, I think I've been forgiving. But I've also learned how to make my boundaries a lot more rigid. You know, I spent 3 years doing a full like vision spirit quest on myself, working on myself, being able to draw boundaries. And once somebody shows you that they're not of the fabric to be in your circle, and you've given them a chance or two or whatever, then you move those people out of your circle. But where the forgiveness comes in is like you still wish them the best. Like somebody screws me over, it's fine. I'm going to be okay. I just don't want them around anymore. I want them to be well, but I don't want them to be in my circle anymore.
The other way, though, meaning I feel like I've gotten a bit better. I go to a lot of therapy, but I feel like I've gotten better at forgiving. Still not good at it. I think just because I get in my protective shell and just don't talk to anybody. Yeah. I don't have rage, but my rage is like inner,
right?
And I just shut down. But I've also needed to be forgiven,
right?
And I used to not even care. I would just be like, I screwed up. I'll just never go back to that person again.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I've grown in that, but if I'm getting better at forgiving, but I'm also getting better at actually asking and going, hey, I screwed up. Like, how would you say you rate on both of those sides?
Well, I don't think I'm a master of any of those things. I think that's something that you work on as you go. I think being able to just say, I was wrong.
Can you do that?
I can do that.
Oof, I suck at that.
I can do it. Getting to the point where you really fully see it, because there's a lot of gray around perception, right? So
that's all perception.
Yeah, and it's like the perception of it. And it's like when you hear somebody else out in their side of the story and you see how it made them feel, I can empathize with that and understand. And I can say, I'm sorry for my part, what I contributed to that feeling or whatever. But as my life coach that I had would say, everything is a mirror, right? So she's like, okay, well, what do you seek the most in a partner? Like, what's the thing you seek the most? And I would say, consistency. And she'd say, okay, well, then you need to be more consistent with yourself. And that was like, so the things we seek in other people is actually what we need for ourselves, and the things that we might be our kind of Achilles heel that we don't see as much. That was really interesting for me, but I'm a student to everything. I'm a student to myself, to the relationships, to whatever it is, but I've gotten better about going, okay, this person showed me who they are, and I want them to be great, but I don't want them to be around me anymore. And the more that I've done that, the more that I've kept my circle with people that are expanders for me. If they're not on the same frequency, same thing, just because of precedence, just because you used to hang out with this person, it used to be great, it used to be whatever. Like, the people you surround yourself with are a direct reflection of your level of success and where you're going and what you're doing.
Yeah, I agree. The environment that you put yourself in or you stay in definitely manifests itself into who you are. Because if you stay there long
100%.
enough, that's going to be who you are, or it's going
100%.
to change because of you, right? You play pickleball?
I have a pickleball court at my house.
Let's go. I'm building one right there behind the place right now.
You gonna have a bridge for your dog?
I already have a bridge for my dog.
That goes over the pickleball court so he can watch?
No. I'm not crazy. I mean, we did build out of plywood a Vegas sky bridge for our fat bulldog into the side yard because he would drown.
Yeah. They don't swim.
They don't. Then they just sink.
They fart a lot.
He's not a big farter.
Really?
Yeah, no, he's a snorer. Yeah, big snorer. You like bulldogs?
Yeah.
You have one?
No.
You ever had one?
I've had French bulldogs.
Oh, man.
Same thing.
People like steal those in the street.
Yeah.
Like just see you. They wouldn't see you and steal your dog, though.
There's things you learn about, like a tail pocket.
I don't know what that is.
So underneath their tail, they have this little
I feel like that's what
socket.
I'd be called in prison. Hey, this is my tail pocket, Bobby.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if you're holding someone's
Yeah, that's what I would
pocket,
do immediately.
Right.
I would just immediately be like, all right, hey, first day in prison, I'll hold your pocket. And they're like, no, you don't have to do that. No, I will. I know my spot.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good self-defense mechanism.
What's a tail pocket?
So Frenchies have, like, underneath their tail, they have this little, like, cavern where their little gnarly tail. First of all, bulldogs haven't been able to procreate. They would be extinct already. They're like the dodo bird of dogs, right? So there's a process to doing all of that, and then you find out things about them after you have them, like, oh, the tail pocket is infected. It's like this weird moist place that's on the back side of the dog, and it's like, that's a thing. So you learn weird things when you have dogs that should be dead, but they're not, should be extinct.
So did you spend a whole lot of money on yours because it was always sick, and it's because 100 years of genetic, like...
Yeah.
I mean, that's our story with this dog.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. I mean, they are cool. They're like little gargoyles.
He's the greatest.
Yeah.
And he's actually not that much of an idiot. He likes to sleep a lot now, but he's awesome. But yeah, he's because they just genetically aren't supposed to exist.
Yeah.
And there's been so much inbreeding.
Yeah.
But people would say the same thing about people from Arkansas. But I'm here.
Hey,
Look at me.
you're doing great.
I got a bridge for my dog to walk over.
I know, dude.
You a pretty good
You
pickleball
should
player?
be in the Arkansas Hall of Fame for that dog bridge, bro. I don't know if anybody in Arkansas has a dog bridge.
I think I got into that when I just drove across the border.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm gonna be somebody, and they were like, "You're in the Hall of Fame." What? Are you a good pickleball player?
I'm learning. I'm working on it. Me and the kids are out there, and it's just that time of year now too, where it's fun, where we're out there doing it. And what's weird about it is you get a little bit better every time you play, just learning how to hit it and keep it in the bounds. But I love anything that is active and you're exercising without thinking about exercising.
That's my whole thing too. Like I will work out 3-4 times with my trainer. It sucks. I hate exercise. I hate for the sake of exercise. I'll do it, and I do it, but I hate it.
Yeah.
But I love being I like competing.
Yeah.
And then you're exercising,
Yeah.
and you're like, man, that was fun. And I just like
Totally.
I don't have to go bench press.
Right.
No, I will. I'm pretty good. I did like 260. Look at me.
Awesome.
Not that big a dude.
Awesome.
260. I'm old too. That's why I shouldn't be doing max reps. I haven't done that since high school. But I was like, let's see what I can do now.
I hired a trainer about 4 months ago, and his approach to everything is completely different than anything I've ever seen or done. And
Just eat during the lesson or what?
75% of the workout is rolling on foam rollers, posture ball, lacrosse balls, peanuts.
Super important.
Yeah, and that's how you keep the old man out.
I never got flexible and ever in my whole life until like the last year. Spent so much time stretching.
Yeah.
And it has helped my performance. Like I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it has helped. I did tear my labrum's good, but my rotator cuff tore it twice now. It sucks. But I'm here doing this interview. I show up.
Should we be talking about labias on
Not
this
labia, it's
podcast?
labrum. Two different things. See, I got a book for you to read.
Just making sure.
It's called Medical Journal.
Okay.
What's fun for you right now? What's fun? Like I'm going to play pickleball with my buddy when this is over. I've been working since like 4 this morning.
Awesome.
No, just a normal day, right? But what I do if I get a second is I'm going to go play pickleball when this is over. And that's how I don't think about things for a minute until my mind starts running again. What is that for you?
2 things right now. So tomorrow, I'm going to go bow fishing. So I have a bow fishing boat.
You got to go to the coast though, right?
No, on the river here.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
You have a bow fishing boat on the river?
Yeah.
That'll be like having a yacht on the lake.
No, it's just an aluminum boat. It just has lights all the way around it. So you go up front and you have a bow and arrow with a reel on the
So it's a like a
on the
flat
bottom.
bottom or whatever kind of boat, but then you kind of gear it to be a
Yeah, you run around at night and it shines the lights and you can see where the fish are laid up along the banks and you miss a lot, but when you shoot and you hit them, it's fun.
the bow attached, you pull it back or is it gone?
Yeah. Yeah, it has the arrows attached to a bottle of string, and then you have a reel that reels that back in. So you shoot a big fish and then squeeze a little handle and you reel the fish in, pull in the boat.
That's cool. They ever fight you? Like,
It's fun.
Is it not?
Oh yeah, they don't.
do?
They don't want to come in the boat.
So you don't kill them immediately.
No, not necessarily. I mean, if you can if you hit them in the head on the right spot. So my greatest source of that recharge for me is spearfishing.
That's got to be on the coast, right?
Usually it's in the ocean. Yep. But like nationals last year was held in a big lake. So
Nationals?
yeah, there's
You competed?
competition.
You
There's
compete?
world teams. No, I didn't compete, but it's my absolute favorite thing. So free diving and diving down and hunting fish. Me.
You free dive,
Yes.
and then you go and you hunt fish.
Yes.
Do you have to train just holding your breath?
Yes. You do. And you have to learn how to relax. You have to learn how to lower your heart rate when you get in the water, so you have more time when you're holding your breath and you dive down and swim down, But I have friends that I go with that are like my buddy Justin Lee's like one of the best in the world. He won nationals last year or the year before, and he can go 200 feet free diving and go down and shoot fish 200 feet down with no tank, no nothing, just a spear and some weights and fins and a mask.
But you only do that wrong once, it's over. It's not like you can do it wrong and you do that wrong once.
Yeah, but you usually have somebody in the water with you. You want to have someone that's,
Spotter.
good enough to be there to kind of keep an eye out in case you have a blackout or whatever. But like this is Fiji this last year.
What? That fish looks as tall. That's saltwater, right?
Saltwater, yeah.
God dang.
It's a dogtooth tuna.
I feel like you could crawl in the mouth of that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there it is out of the water.
Oh, you could. It's as big as you are. So how did you get into freaking spearfishing?
I went in the Bahamas, and this old Bohemian guy that was there is like a legend guy, took me spearfishing one time. It was like 14 years ago, and I just fell in love with it. I feel like you're challenging your breath, you're challenging the ocean, you're challenging the fish, you're challenging the weather. It's like, it's this whole thing. But for me, it's one of the activities, when I'm doing that, when I'm diving down, there's no chatter. Chatter doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. So you're only in that moment, and it's so primal, and you're so just connected to the ocean and nothing else. And you feel small in the greatest possible way.
Do you have trouble sleeping generally?
No.
Unaided. You can just go to sleep for 8 hours.
I take magnesium 3 and 8 and some
fine.
stuff,
Yeah,
like
I'm
that.
saying like not smoke weed.
No.
You can go to sleep.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I would think a guy like I don't feel like I have anxiety in any way until I fall asleep. And then I wake up and I feel like that's when it kind of sits and wakes it, because I don't feel anxious. Like I'm rocking.
Yeah.
I can get a lot done.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have an overactive brain for sure.
But
my thing for me, you tell you a secret that a lot of people don't know?
Well, if it's going to be a secret, I'll turn the mic off.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. We can leave it on.
All right.
And whatever judgment might be out there, I use a pee bottle through the night.
To just pee in the bottle?
Pee in the bottle. Because I got used to doing that when I'm touring, because you're riding, we play 3 or 4 shows in a row. So I'm sleeping on my bus. The bus is going down the road. During that day, for my voice, I drank 2 gallons of water. So through the night, I'm going to pee like 2 or 3 times. So I have to get my pee bottle right by the bed.
So you don't have to get
and you pee in it. Yeah, if you get up on a moving bus, and I have an overactive brain anyway, you get up, you stub your toe, you bash your head in the wall, you're awake. And then it throws you off. So for people that have to do that, they make nice big ones with lids, so it doesn't stink, it doesn't spill. It's like, you know the deal. But
you can't promise it doesn't stink. It may not spill.
Well, I'm not saying you stick your face in it.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying it to someone, if someone else was around, it's not like you're going to smell this thing happening. And I rinse it out every day. But little things, man. Another thing.
I'm one step ahead of that. I just stay dehydrated.
That's not an option for me.
Hey, never got to get up and pee if you're dehydrated.
That's true. And then it's brown, right?
That's right. It's all different colors.
Okay.
Yeah, it's never good. Sometimes it's bloody.
Okay.
No, it's never bloody. I'm kidding. What's the other trick? You're about to tell me another one. Give me another one.
So as a singer, you seen that pure gum? It's like, no sweet, no bad sweetener or whatever.
Yeah.
And whatever. So this is a thing that I learned, because I sleep on the bus and I'd wake up. If I wake up on my back with my mouth open and I've been breathing and it's, it's sucking all the moisture out of the air. There's like 3% humidity. My throat would be dry and I'd lose my voice the next day. So I sleep with 8 pieces of gum in my mouth when I sleep at night. And saliva keeps going. It keeps my throat from drying out.
That's interesting. I think I would choke. Because
well, it's a big enough piece. It's not just like a little one where it's going to come out and be stuck in my beard or something like that. So there's little they look like chiclets or whatever, but it's like healthy gum.
No, I have the gum. I chew the gum.
So I sleep with that in my mouth now, and that keeps me from getting dried out. It keeps me from losing my voice. So basically, if I'm just playing guitar or building knives or whatever I'm doing, I can go on no sleep. I can do that for a week or 2 at a time.
What?
I'm just saying, like, if you get 4 hours of sleep a night, it's fine. Your voice is like taking care of a baby.
You can do that and still have a voice?
No, I'm saying I can't. Taking care of my voice is like taking care of a baby.
Got it.
If I don't sleep, if I don't nap, if I don't hydrate, if I don't chew my gum, if I don't use my pee bottle to keep from waking up in the middle of the night, if I don't do all of those things, if I don't do my cardio. So I have a regimen, like before I go, when I get up in the morning on the road, I'll go do something in the city for a few hours, come back, take a nap. I wake up, I eat something, I work out to wake my voice back up again. And then I come back in, I do a steam shower to hydrate my voice. I've been drinking water all day with this. Then I'll get cleaned up, do my meet and greet, say hey to everybody or whatever. Then I come do my vocal warm-ups with my vocal coach. Then I do my vocal warm-ups with my band, and then we play the show. If any of that gets screwed up, if I don't get enough sleep, if I don't hydrate, any of those pieces don't fall in line, I'm going to lose my voice.
Okay, but how much of that is your mind making you lose your voice versus your body going, I didn't get what I needed, I'm losing my voice?
Oh, it's 100% your body. Like it's not a my mind thing.
You don't think that a bit of your mind, if you miss one of them, you're going to, because I freak out all the time about sleep because I have to talk for 5 hours a day. That's just the morning part of the show.
Right.
I freak out about sleep. But if I freak out a whole lot, it then manifests itself in me, like my body sleep the first or second time, but my psychological issue then manifests itself into me losing my voice, which was what I was scared about to begin with, which wouldn't have happened had I not freaked out about it.
Right. Well, your cortisol levels, I guess, could go up from stress to where you're like affecting your wellness for that day or whatever. That can definitely play into it because nights I try to go to bed super early. I wake up at like 2 a.m, wide fucking awake, and I can't do anything. So I kind of know what those things are. But also the sleep cocktail that I take is magnesium threonate, which I learned this from Andrew Huberman. I don't know if you listen to his podcast. He's brilliant.
Physically, you guys remind me of each other. Like he's all tatted up and like.
Yeah, super smart guy.
But then he talks like you, and you're like, "Oh, you guys are actually really smart and can beat me up." That sucks. That's what I feel about with you guys. But go ahead.
So I take magnesium threonate, which is the only magnesium that breaks the blood-brain barrier. So it actually relaxes your mind as well as your body when you're sleeping. And then I take theanine, L-theanine, and then I use this other little squirt bottle. It's called LipoCalm, and it's like Quicksilver Labs makes this stuff, and I could turn you on to it. So if I do those things, 30 minutes after I take those or whatever, I'll feel more tired. But also if I've gotten my workouts and my stretching and everything in that day, I'm also kind of there. If I don't, and caffeine's a big thing for me too. So I can't drink caffeine on show days at all because it's a diuretic. It makes you flush water, which makes you dehydrated. So, the amount of caffeine that you take and doing it earlier in the day is good rather than later because that disturbs my sleep. It makes me, I feel caffeine in my teeth. If I drink like a big latte or something, like I feel it in my teeth somehow. Like my teeth feel tight or weird. It's like a weird thing. Like it affects me. So I'm sensitive to those kind of chemicals. But if I take my sleep cocktail and I've worked out that day and I've kind of, and the other thing is just like trying to reduce the stress. Like that's what COVID did for me because having 19 businesses and trying to stay on top of those things and just, it's a matter of math. If you have great people and there's only drama 5% of the time, when you have 250 people, there's always 11 people that have a problem and you have to help deal with that problem. So the less brain damage that I put myself through, the better I am, the less cortisol that I have, and the more chill that I'm going to be. So that helps you to sleep as well. So, if I focus on the things that is just the absolute best use of my time and the things that I enjoy, spearfishing. I also really enjoy playing Fortnite.
I like to play Madden. I play with my friends, only my friends. But
I play Madden too.
But I play, and it's the only time I can really, that and pickleball is when I can turn my brain off, and that's it.
That's how I mind myself into exercising. I would go down to my arc trainer and I would play Madden for an hour and while I'm on the arc trainer, like just moving my feet, playing a game of Madden. So in my head, I'm going down to play Madden. But then that turned into Fortnite. And so now I play, and I got a bunch of my friends are telling me that I need to stream and do that stuff too. It's, but playing with my kids and then playing with my friends all over that play. And that's not something I sit around the house doing all day. Like I do that usually at night when after everything's kind of done. But that's a great escape for me as well because it's competitive. And you get better at it as you go and do those things. But so that's a fun thing that I like to do.
I'm only going to keep you like 5 or 6 more minutes, but I got a few things. I'm going to ask you a question that my therapist asked me, but in a very complimentary way, where I'll go in and he'll say, one of my two. We go to a couples counselor too. Best thing we ever did before we committed to it very early on.
Smart.
It's always uncomfortable because it's like you don't go in to celebrate, But do that. I don't go in by myself to celebrate. You go in. I'd like to be as efficient as possible. And I go in, and it's like, what are you working on now? It's like, okay, I'm writing a book, or I'm doing the radio show, or I'm touring, or I'm that day. He's like, okay, what are you running from? Because I fill up every minute of every day.
Yeah.
Hearing you talk about everything that you're doing.
Yep.
What are you running from? What are you running to? Why so much all the time? Again, I say that as somebody who gets the same
I've actually cut back a lot. Like I was forced to cut back a lot, and then I realized the value in that I shouldn't have been doing all of those things. I shouldn't have been taking up so much of my capacity because my creativity is buried underneath the fucking chatter and the effort it takes to just try to get things even. So I'm running toward that. I'm running towards ease. I'm running towards choosing an acceptable amount of things to get done in a day and to try to do those things really well. I'm running toward trying to be in the best shape that I've ever been in, nutrition-wise, investing. When you turn 40, your warranty runs out.
Dude, I hurt all the time.
And so if you don't start investing in all the things that make you feel good, then your life experience, you can either suffer your whole life or you can suffer a little bit every day and just do these things that help make you feel better so you have more to give and more to do that. Because that's the sugar, man. The greatest thing, the real joy comes from serving other people.
Well, what were you running from then? Sounds like you're healthier
What's
now.
I running from?
Yeah. I mean, you do 107 things. What are you trying to do? What are you running from?
I guess I'm running from old versions of myself and trying to be better. I'm running from the patterns that I would find myself in. And it's like, how did I end up here again? And it's by my choices. And it's things that aren't always intuitive, I mean, being too generous can end you up in really bad situations. That's my nature. My nature is to do that because I always want to err on the side of generosity with people. Even if they do me wrong, I want to end on the side of generosity, not for them, for me. Because I don't ever have to look back and think I didn't do the right thing in that moment. So, but if you're too generous with people, if you give people cars and houses and things like that or whatever, it kind of ignites a certain kind of greed or entitlement in them. Then it changes the relationship, and it's kind of like the part of human nature that reacts to that is, well, why don't you give me more? Where's the next thing? How's that going to be coming? How's it going to be doing? So the old part of myself, like studying the old part of myself and the ways I was fucking up my current, state of Zen, were doing things that I felt like, well, I have enough to give. I want to share this with people or whatever. Being more careful of how I share that preserves the relationship a lot better. So just telling someone that works for me, hey, you did an awesome job. Thank you. You kill it. And then, there's a Christmas gift and a bonus or whatever it is, but not interjecting my generosity into these things too far because it ends up having a negative result, even though it was a positive thing. So I'm trying to learn that within my interpersonal relationships. And, if I'm dating someone or whatever, it's like, what is that level of doing it? Because I'm a give all motherfucker. That's just how I'm made. So I have to limit some of that sometimes in some ways.
Change my bio to that. Mike, change my bio to give all. Put that in mind.
I like that.
That's what I want to be called, yeah. I give all, mother.
I like to put myself into things, and I like to love on my people. But the way that you do that, sometimes there's a really badass book called Sway. That book was very enlightening. They did all these studies of what we do intuitively is like, hey, if you want to fix this, give them some money to help them fix their problem. Well, they don't spend the money on fixing their problem. They spend it on something else, and then they're just asking for more money, and it just makes the problem worse.
Yeah, it's a bit of enabling. I mean, it's a bit of, yeah.
Right.
Sure.
But there's a psychology around it all. It's like, can somebody give me tools? And that's why I do therapy as well. That's why I applaud you for doing it, because we're not born with these tools, right? We need things to go. What do we do when this thing happens? And it's like, here's a tool. And after you practice that long enough, you can see a result. Like, I'm getting a better result in my life because I was given this tool to do this. So doing therapy, finding people, mentors, asking questions, getting as many tools as you can so that you can handle these things in a good way and have a better result. Because the result's really all that matters. And it's like, okay, I have to do these hard things. I have to not give myself fully in these ways to get a better result. And so I'm just always curious, like, what is that? What's the tool? Tell me what to, because I'm not someone that really lives on ego around things. If somebody has a better way of doing something, that's why it works great when you find the right songwriters. The best idea wins always. Doesn't have to be my idea. I don't care. But you both know it when you're with somebody and you can lay your ego down and you write something and somebody comes up with something and you're like, there it is. We've been looking for that for 2 hours. There it is. We both can recognize it and it's like, fuck, that's awesome.
Or 10 years.
Or 10 years. Yeah, it may take 10 years to get the right thing, but you know what? You shouldn't compromise, to get things to that level 10 experience. Like, do you want to write something that's okay or you want to write something that's fucking great? And then you're always here and you're like, I got every line of that song the way I wanted it. And that's all that matters. It's not really about it being perfect because you're never going to be perfect. Just get it where you want it.
I got 2 final questions for you. It seems from 30,000 feet up that you and your band are closer than the average person in their band. And I don't know this specific relationship you have with every one of them, and that's not what I'm asking. But if that is true, how do you stay a boss and a friend? I've hired all my friends my whole life.
Yeah.
15, 17, 20 years. I've had to learn by doing things wrong on how to be a boss and a friend. And you can do it both, but it is tricky. But what is it for you? How do you do it?
It comes along with a lot of time. It comes along with them really trusting my judgment on things. They don't question my judgment anymore. I think in the beginning, I had to stand up and say, look, if there's 8 ideas and everybody wants their idea to win, there's not ever a solution. You can't ever finish anything. But I think the people in my band, we all love each other and we trust each other. And I also trust them to challenge me if there's something that's like, hey, they think this can be better. Let me listen here. My bass player just texted me the other day. He sent me a version of a song that we did last week, and I thought one of my guys missed an entrance on the thing. I'm like, hey, remind them that they missed the entrance. And he sent it to me, and it was actually me. I missed my entrance to it, which, he came in at the right place. But in my mind, I thought he needs to be mindful of that or whatever. And he was like, I'm not trying to challenge you. I'm like, dude, always challenge me if I'm wrong.
Better win, though.
Yeah. So,
Mike, why are you laughing, buddy?
You gotta win if you point something out like that.
Yeah. I'm just saying. Yeah, I agree. Like challenge, but if you do, you better make sure you win.
Yeah. Well, and to me that's the thing. And having incredible people. The people in my band are all exceptional human beings. They're all dynamic people. But we share a love for music, every one of us, and we all want to get it right. Because there's 9 people in the band, right? If everybody's playing on something, what you don't play is just as important as what you do. So a lot of times we'll go in, all 9 of us will play something, then I'll subtract 60% of all of it. And that's what serves the song. But they ultimately know and can trust, I'm going to pick what serves the song, and then they play their role in doing that. So they're like the ultimate orchestra for me. They're as much or as little as it needs to be for that thing, whatever serves it. And they don't have egos about it. We don't have egos about arriving at the best solution, and I think that's what makes it go around. But I watched like the Eagles documentary, like they hated each other.
Yeah.
I could not work or live in an environment where I hated the people I worked with.
Same.
I'm not capable.
I'm too close to
that.
people. I mean, literally, physically too close to have
100%.
to hate and act. And if I'm acting and I'm uncomfortable, I'm not creating at my best.
That's right. So bad energy, bad vibes does not work, and it sucks away the creativity. And I'm so blessed to have the band that I have because they're all extraordinary human beings and extraordinary musicians. And we all serve the song, and we serve the live performance. And whatever makes that the best, that's what we do. But ultimately, someone has to be the leader, and they trust me with that role, and I have to have last say on whatever it is, not for my ego, but because my instincts have gotten us where we are, and they trust my instincts, and that was earned. It doesn't just happen.
I feel like you're saying what I think all the time. I'm just going to play this for my people. Listen to what Zach says, but it's actually like, okay, look, 2 things, not even questions. 2, we talked about a lot of the new music, the ACM, before you came in. So all the business was covered. I wanted to spend this time just kind of get to know you in a way that I've never really got to know you, although we've spent time together.
Yeah.
You rarely get like this forced intimacy, which is what this is in the best way.
Yeah. Well, it's not anybody pulling on us or whatever. It's great.
So 2 things. Number 1, I will say it again. I've said it to you and I've said it to other people. I believe with all my heart that you guys are the greatest country band to ever exist.
Thank you. That's a huge honor.
And there's some good ones. There's some great ones. But I do think that what you have produced and what you have kept consistent is, and I don't even want to put you in the band category, but I will because you're a band. I do think you're the greatest country band of all time. And I think there were real misses too, where not by you, but by the industry, which again, you can't care about the industry to create how you create. And that's part of how you create. And at times, and I'm not going to even say the victim of it, where I do things my way, but I can't be mad sometimes when the industry goes, we don't like it, so we're not going to award you things.
Right.
Because I do things that are absolutely counter of what I'm being told I'm supposed to do.
For sure.
I do think there have been times where you guys where you undeservingly didn't get what you deserved. Because we're going to look back in 20 years and, you're going to be 60-something and it's going to be known. It's like, oh, yeah, obviously, that was the Derek Jeter of, you guys are that, but you're still in it. You're still in your prime right now. And it's really rare, I think, to understand when an artist is in the middle of being awesome and they're still doing it. A lot of times we just know later. We're like, look at that body of work. Who even knew they were that great? So that's a compliment from me to you.
Thank you.
I believe you're the greatest country band in history, and not even in the band space. In live, aside from the music that you make and produce, it's the best live band show. I've never actually considered, like, it'd be top 3, and I wouldn't even have a ranking I've ever seen. You guys are that good.
Thank you.
So I want to say that, and I don't know if whatever awards you're up for, we talked about the ACM and stuff. I hope you win everything. I know what it's like to not win and to be like, well, this sucks. But then I got to go, you know what? You don't play by the rules. So why do you expect to be rewarded by the rules?
Yeah, you can't be measured by those wins.
I still get mad sometimes.
Yeah. I get mad for other people too. I get mad for people that really deserve to be heard. And I wish in some ways that country music was like the Olympics, right? That the people that are the most extraordinary and then they write the most extraordinary things would be the ones that get the attention and get those things.
Too subjective, though. You know?
It is. I mean, it's very subjective, and it's like, who's the greatest guitar player ever? Like, you can't really decide that thing. I wish that there was sometimes a little bit higher bar for what is accepted and celebrated, but those people aren't the most exploited sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
And living outside of those things. So we accept our wins every night that we sell out a stadium, or every night that we sell out a ballpark. Like that for us is our win. So we win our awards every night, and I remind my band of that. It's hard bringing my band to award show after award show after award show and never winning, but we're not really one of their horses necessarily.
I would agree.
So that's okay, because we don't have to be anything other than ourselves, and we get to play for people, and we get to do what we love to do, and we fucking win.
And what kept you from winning awards is what made you wildly successful at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
Like doing it differently. Like, so I wanted to say that to you. And then secondly, I don't know what Kenny's thinking. He's gonna come on after you guys. He's out of his mind. He's out of his, and I love Kenny, and Kenny does it like nobody I've ever seen. He plays stadiums. He's that guy. If there's one artist I am not coming on after, it's you guys. What is he thinking?
I love Kenny's, tenacity, man. He's great. And I watched the first half of the show after he played or whatever, and he's bringing the energy, man. He's bringing the love and pulling those things together. And his model, he created his own model, it's his own promoter, he works with his own group to do everything, management, everything. So Kenny, I tip my hat to Kenny because, he's a force, man. And he's done it. And when this thing came up to being able to do it, and the big thing, my baby, next year we're going into the Sphere.
You are going to do that, or you want to?
We are.
Really?
We're going into the Sphere. We're going to do a residency at the Sphere.
That's cool.
My baby. And so this year, because of the Kenny opportunity, we're only playing basically 1 day a week. But that gives me 6 days a week that I don't have my kids, that I can work on my baby, which is the Sphere. And what we're going to do in the Sphere,
visually, sonically,
the whole thing, the concept, everything about it. And I've got an incredible team I put together to help me to do this thing, working on it. But you have to come to see us at the Sphere. It's the greatest canvas for creativity and video that's ever been created ever.
I saw the fish. Did you see the fish? Fish
Yeah,
played there.
I went to see them.
Did you like the car inside the Sphere? And you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. What Fish did was a different concept, because they did 16 hours of music. They did 4-hour nights of music. They never played the same song twice, and they never did any of the same video content twice. So theirs was it wasn't utilizing what the place can fully do, but it was giving them the biggest, craziest backdrop they've ever had.
Sure.
So I didn't know what it was going to be, but I went to see it, and I was like, okay, I get it now.
Blown
but they
away
never
at the possibilities? Were you just blown away at the possibilities when you saw it the first time?
When I went to see the thing when U2 was loading in before the building was open and saw what it was and the possibilities or whatever, it's like, this is my moment. This is my moment to create something that so far exceeds everyone's expectations that we're in a different category now. And that's our plan. So
when do you do that?
March of next year.
So here's my idea, and we're going to end on this. You're not going to like it, but whatever. It's better than plural murals, though. I can't even say it. See how hard that is to sing like, everybody sing along, plural, rural. See, it would just be a disaster. But this is what I want to do. I want to do like a small documentary of me in a large band faking playing instruments the whole night. Like a saxophone one. I'm not even plugged in.
Right. Just have a track playing and you're just
you don't have to
Milli Vanilli-ing
you don't even
it?
have to have a saxophone playing. But I'm just over on the side. Just ripping a saxophone with the band. Right, I switch it out. Next thing you do, I'm playing so in the whole
Are you going to be yourself or be something else? Like have someone disguise you so no one knows it's you?
I'd probably have to disguise me a little bit so they don't know it's a
sure.
joke. But just me going to town. I wanted to do it in like a big band, like Brian Setzer Orchestra, that type thing with all
Right.
and just act like I'm on a horn the whole time and see if anybody even notices. And do that and see if anyone ever posts, this guy's played like every instrument and I've not heard him once. At one point I got like the drum,
Okay, so there wouldn't be any audio supporting it.
No,
You'd just
none.
be, okay.
No. But also, you don't acknowledge it's
Air
fake.
sax.
You never acknowledge it's fake. No one ever even looks over and makes a deal. But I'm like giving to the tuba.
All right, when are you going to do this?
I don't know. I'm trying to find the right partner. It's going to take me about 10 years to figure it out, but I'm going to get to it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, look. We talked about tie-up. Everything, all the business we did before you came in. I appreciate you giving me an hour to just hang
brother.
and
It's great to talk to you.
and get to know you a little better. All the cool things that are happening now. I mean, it's absurd to have a goal of doing something amazing, but if you don't have that goal of doing something amazing, that absurdity will never happen.
That's true.
And you've always been that guy that's like, we're selling out. We're doing it big. We're doing it bigger. Let's keep going bigger. And like that inspires me because I'm like, let's go. So to see you continue to do this, that's really cool. And you're still in your freaking prime. And I don't have any literal flowers, but I give you my creative flowers.
Thanks, brother. Hey, you too, man. I've watched your career climb and get where you are. And
I got a dog bridge. I'm tapped
That's what
out.
I was going to say.
Tapped out, man. Once that bridge went up, I was like,
You're still doing it.
I've accomplished it all. And also, I don't like that compliment, so I'm going to move off. But good to see you.
You too, brother. Thank you.
Mike, anything for Zac?
When did you fully commit to the tattoos? Because right now I just got my second one, and I'm like, I kind of want to go and get a little further. Like what point did you say like I'm going fully committing?
I love art so much, and you get to carry certain art around with you. So you better find things that you like and that you like to look at and do. And then I think over time, I just kept finding things that meant something to me. It's kind of like a map of my life on me, and it's art that I get to carry with me and things that have meaning. I think over time, you just keep adding to it. It's like anything else, man. It's just a journey, man. So in your journey, you just keep finding something that means something to you and just keep adding to it. And then all of a sudden, enough time goes by, you look down and you're like, oh, I got a bunch of tattoos. It was never like, I'm just going to be all tatted up.
It wasn't a goal. Like, I'm going to go, because that's what I would do, be obsessed with getting my whole body covered.
Oh, after you get one, you're definitely going to want more.
Well, I got like 6 all on one arm.
Yeah.
Like the picture of you I have here. You haven't even seen it yet, but I thought it'd be weird to show you. Once I got referred to as the tatted up guy, I felt pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
Sweet.
that's right. Don't forget about it.
Yeah, they are kind of addictive once you get rolling on it.
Never driven a
But then it takes away from my spearfishing sometimes. If I know if I'm going to be tattooed and I can't swim for a week, that's kept me from getting a lot of tattoos in the last couple
you meant
years.
the fish will be like, look at the tatted dude coming down.
It's
No, it's kind of
It's distracting.
camouflage. It's kind of camouflage, actually.
All right, Zach, good to talk to you, buddy.
You too. Thank you.